So ladies and gentlemen, this is for my audio stuff, and I'm in my garage, actually. If you want to look around here, got some video games, you know, the mowers and all of that. And I'd like to show you another one of my stereos that I have hooked up out here. This is one of my favorite low power receivers. Great for dorms, great for offices. This is the Radio Shack STA 64 from 1977. This was the first year that they offered this one. And they actually would make this, I think, for about 3 years. But this is the best year to get it because it has one of my favorite crass features, Quadravox, which is like simulated inside out four channel sound if you have 4 speakers. It's not really 4 channels, but you get the point. I love crass stuff. But this receiver, it's rated at 16 watts per channel from, 20 to 20,000 hertz. It features, AM, FM, a magnetic phono cartridge hookup, and auxiliary, loudness contour, tape monitor in, and in that circuit I have a little EQ, little Radio Shack EQ. Also has the mono in or out jack on it, bass, treble, balance, volume, all of that, little headphone jack, oversized tuning knob. This is a decent receiver. I think I got this on eBay for about 70 bucks. And I went ahead and it had a bad capacitor in the amplifier circuit. One of the electrolytics was close to shorting out, so I replaced those, and then I just went for broke and replaced all the electrolytic capacitors in the entire unit in the audio paths with Elna-Silmic 2s. Then I also modified the phono section of this. I put NTE 199 transistors in it. It's a fully discrete receiver, fully discrete circuitry in the phono section as well. This is a great performer, and I suppose you get the test equipment out and look at the rise time and slew rates and all of that, but I would say that this is reasonably fast. Reasonably good transit response just listening to it. If you want to play, Lady Gaga, Poker Face, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean with those deep drum hits, and Halsey's Bad in Love, which is another very excellent test for receivers and what they can handle. This thing stands on its own. This is a potent 16 watt per channel receiver. It'll probably peak around 30 watts if it has to. Momentarily, all discrete circuitry, so once again, decent dynamic range. FM tuner section, I think it's a 3-gang tuner, it's not a 4, but I went ahead and calibrated that as well. It's rated, I think, at 2.2 microvolts, but I'm guessing properly calibrated, if you really tweak on this thing, you can probably get it down close to 2 microvolts or so. Excellent FM front end overall. Selectivity maybe could be a little better on this. This I think retailed for about 250 bucks in the day, which was a lot of money even for Radio Shack stuff in the day. But again, an excellent receiver. If you're looking for one, I probably wouldn't pay much more than 70 bucks for these, but they're still pretty plentiful on eBay, and this is definitely, I'm serious, out of the lower end Radio Shack stuff, this is definitely a sleeper. I don't think Radio Shack built it, but I think they designed, they had their engineers design a lot of the circuitry for it. And interesting thing about Radio Shack, and people can beat on them and all of that, but I think overall Radio Shack made it possible, in a general sense, for the common man, the common man, to enjoy more or less high fidelity stereo stuff. And so I think to that end they were very valid while they existed. But if you're looking for a potent receiver, seriously, consider the realistic STA 64 from 1977. I'd stay away from the 78, 79 versions. I think they made this for 3 years. In 78 they introduced a op-amp chip for the phono circuit, which raised some of the noise a little bit on it, and it took away a lot of the dynamic range on the phono circuit. So if you stick with a 77 version, then it's all discrete circuitry all the way through this thing, and you have a generally good sounding receiver. Just real quick, I have this thing hooked to some Harman Kardon 20s. These are, in my opinion, probably some of the best bookshelf speakers you can get. They feature a 6.5-inch woofer, 2-inch dome tweeter. Frequency response on this, and I kid you not, it's plus or minus 3 decibels or thereabouts from 20 to 50 hertz. I'm sorry, from 50 to 20,000 hertz. And this will produce deep, low bass. The 6.5-inch woofers coupled with what the ported design and all of that. These are particle board enclosures that they put these things behind. So they're very solid. They don't resonate. These are decent speakers. I got these new about 1994. And Harman Kardon didn't make them too much longer after these. After that, I think these date, I don't know, the production run probably from the late 80s to mid 90s. But these are some excellent speakers. Might as well throw this into, I have my receiver here out in the garage hooked to a Gerard, I think this is a Type A, from about 1960. This is their first year that they went to stereo. And so this is a stereo, fully automatic or semi-automatic, depending on the controls that you push. Stereophonic turntable. It has a magnetic cartridge on it, and I think it's the original. It's an Ortophon magnetic cartridge, and it tracks at about 4 grams. I think the lightest this thing will go is 3 grams. So the cartridge is made to track at the heavier levels, but this is still an excellent turntable. You can put a whole stack of records on it. I have a little single for it so that you can pull the regular record spindle off and just play records singly. Also, a 45 RPM adapter will fit on this thing, and then you can stack 45s and play them on it. It has all the record speeds. If this thing will focus, you look at 16 RPM, 33, 45, and 78. Don't think they made too many music discs at 16, but a lot of audio discs they did. But I mean, this'll pretty much play them all. Decent deck. It's spring dampened and all of that, and it has a fairly heavy platter. I've gone through this thing and rebuilt it as well. Great turntable. I have it around mostly for nostalgia, and I have probably one of my favorite albums. I play this thing year-round. It's my late grandmother's vintage Johnny Mathis Christmas album record, dating from, I think the record itself, they bought it new, so 1960, 61 when it came out, and I play that year-round on my garage realistic STA 64 with a somewhat decent equalizer. I don't give this thing high marks, the realistic 10-band. I have the EQ hooked to it to take away some of the boominess in that nasty 250 hertz region. And that's about all. And I have it wired into the tape monitor circuit. But anyway, if you're looking for a good receiver, decent receiver, 16 watts, very potent, that can be had fairly cheap on eBay and is relatively easy to rebuild. And then once you do, it'll last probably longer than you do. Consider the realistic STA 64 from 1977. That's all about that I have to say. Pretty much it for my audio stuff. If you're interested, log on to my other YouTube site, A Father's Devotions. You might find some interesting stuff there, and I think I have a link for it on my site. God bless you all.